All right, folks, Doge catching a little bit of a pump after Elon brings it up once again. Craig Wright is not Satoshi, and we're going to be talking about how the XRP ledger is getting ready for not just gold, but a whole lot more. I don't dare say all the money. I don't want to offend anybody. Let's get right on into it, folks. Taking a look at the charts here, you can see that we're starting to roll over. You have Dogecoin, which did pump up to about 19 cents last night, and this was after Elon was given a speech, and he mentioned Dogecoin to the moon. No, I'm not joking. I'm being serious, and I'm going to speak on that in just 1 second. But the overall market is coming back down. Bitcoin back down to 70,500, ETH 3,800, and XRP hanging right there around the devil's number there, 66 cents. Almost was at the triple sixes there for a second, but let's get away from that. We don't like that. 14 cents for XLM, so it's cooling back off. We got PPI, producer price increases, inflation. And yeah, it is growing up. It is increasing. And so this is the problem right now for this Federal Reserve in our market is they're trying to grip with the fact that the Fed is not going to be able to cut rates anytime soon. In fact, if they actually wanted to fight inflation and get to their 2% target, they would actually probably have to raise rates further. Now, that would be a death blow, and it already has been a death blow what they've already done, raising rates at the fastest pace in history. And so now our market is trying to handle and cope with that. And the delusions that this market could just keep going on up forever, I think the reality there is starting to get checked a little bit. Now, nonetheless, didn't stop Elon Musk from pumping Dogecoin last night. I don't know if this was given. This must have been given in the last 24 hours because I saw this last night. It was about 9 o'clock on the West Coast, and Dogecoin started pumping after this got shared around, started circulating. So I'm not sure where or when Elon gave this speech, but he said they will enable Doge payments at some point in Dogecoin to the moon. And the reasoning for why he said he supported Doge was actually pretty respectable, talking about how his employees were the ones that, told him about Doge and how he should accept Doge, look into Doge, basically saying, he's basically said, that rich people were buying Bitcoin, but, Doge was kind of more for the people. And I thought that was kind of respectable for why he is supporting Dogecoin. Nonetheless, that pump didn't last long. I'm not in Doge anymore. I was in Doge at half a penny. I have exited that position, and I missed out on some gains, but that's fine. And in the meantime, we'll continue to watch this crypto space, following with the rest of the market, which has cooled off earlier this morning. Now, talking about jokes, Federal Reserve is issuing an enforcement action against JP Morgan Chase & Company and fines the firm approximately $98 million for an inadequate program to monitor firm and client trading activities for market misconduct. Now, I didn't even know that the Federal Reserve could issue fines. I didn't know that they were a regulatory body that could issue fines, or I don't know where they get, the ability to do this. I didn't know that they were kind of the cop on the beat. I thought that they were just in charge of monetary policy. But nonetheless, now we have a private group of central bankers suing another group of private central bankers. It's an absolute joke. Continuing on, as I mentioned, February PPI inflation rises to 1.6%, above expectations of 1.1, blew that one out, way above expectations. Core coming in at 2%, above expectations of 1.9. Both CPI and PPI inflation are now officially back on the rise for 2 months in a row for CPI. I don't know how long PPI has been back on the rise now, but a couple months. And beating above expectations on both metrics as well. For both CPI and core CPI, for PPI and core PPI, for all of the metrics, they were above expectations. I don't know why people think that the inflation fight's over, other than Janet Yellen. Now she says that she regrets saying it was transitory. Yeah. And, we've been saying that we're nowhere near this fight against inflation being over. Peter Schiff says both bond yields and oil prices are on the rise. 30-year yields are back above 4.4%, headed to 5%, and oil is back above $80, headed to 100. These trends fly in the face of the Fed expecting to hit its 2% target and its intention to substantially reduce interest rates. We also see that credit card default rates for small lenders have just hit a new record of 7.8%. Folks, these data points are not pretty. I know we want to dismiss them and just get to pumping crypto, but the data is telling us we should have some caution. Craig Wright is not the creator of Bitcoin, and he's not Satoshi Nakamoto, Judge Rules. Now, I'm just tired. I'm really happy that this is over. At least this is what this judge found. I don't know. I'm sure there's people that still believe it. I'm sure Craig Wright still believes he's Satoshi. I just want this crap out of the way. Now, what's interesting, though, and what I'm going to be looking into further, though, is the patents that he has. Because just because he's not Satoshi doesn't mean that he doesn't have some patents that are pretty important. And a lot of people have been dismissing the patents. And there's a true patent war taking place right now, actually, that's kind of happening under the radar. It's not really covered. More on that later. Now, we get the update here from Eleanor Terrett. We have the case with Craig Wright over. Now we wait on Custodia Bank versus the Federal Reserve and the SEC versus Coinbase. So in the Custodia case, we have Caitlin Long, who created that bank, who is trying to get added to the Fed's payment system, basically. A Fed master account. They're trying to get a Fed master account, okay? But the FDIC currently won't provide insurance for crypto-related businesses, so the Fed won't give them a master account. And basically, you can't be a bank. You can't really do business in the United States without a Fed master account as a banking institution. But a Wyoming district judge is set to make a decision on summary judgment any day now, and I'm excited because, you know, we got, this is the heartland of America in Wyoming. They got strong laws, good judges, good people. And so I'm hoping that we get a victory there for Custodia Bank against the Federal Reserve. And then we'll also be watching the SEC versus Coinbase. Now, Smoked QG, okay, on Twitter. Swift and Ripple documentation that Ripple can simply integrate with a bank's back office systems in a matter of weeks. With bank-grade security and being an institutional favorite, it's obvious why when banks want to go cross-border, they choose Ripple. And remember, David Schwartz saying that Ripple could create a CBDC on the private ledger in 1 day, right? It only takes them 1 day to issue a CBDC for a central bank. So absolutely, you know, there's a reason why Ripple has grown from just 100 partners to now over 500 partners. And they're working on getting more and more of them to utilize the XRP ledger as well, obviously fighting a case that has held up that progress. But the progress outside the United States just continues to grow. And we see even here in the United States, they're getting recommendations and commended from the American Institute of Physics, acknowledging Ripple and XRP for disrupting cross-border payments. Dent in the universe, people know the impact that blockchain will have on the way we do everyday things. So how many government institutions now in the United States have actually commended Ripple and XRP? I mean, we even covered one the other day, People's Bank of China, talking about how they were looking to work with Ripple. And we know that they sent their executives to the office of Ripple to meet in San Francisco. So, I mean, you got enemies, you got US, you got China, you got institutions throughout the US government acknowledging XRP and Ripple's success, right? And meanwhile, we got little Twitter talking heads that are trying to come up with new ways to FUD XRP every single day. And they're working overtime right now with the massive amount of utility that's coming to the XRPL. They're still trying to put the negative spin on it. The XRPL is getting AMM. Oh, you guys aren't going to make any money off that. It's, you know, there's just going to be more scam tokens launched on the XRPL, and they're getting all worked up, working OT, trying to figure out a way to spin it negatively. I get a little crack. I laugh at that. And meanwhile, institutions across the world are acknowledging the success and the opportunity and what Ripple has been able to accomplish, and specifically with XRP as well. And what gets me excited is what I'm about to talk about next, which is not just gold, but is everything else coming on to DLT technology. It's not just XRP. Let's be clear. XRPL is not going to get all the money, but we're prepared for all the money. And that's what's so important. David Schwartz said there might be demand for gold assets backed by a counterpart as a bridge, and that a universal asset will still be required. So whether they make the CBDCs or not, whether somebody creates a gold-backed token, whether JP Morgan creates their own token, you still need that universal bridge asset. And so this is a quote from David Schwartz talking about gold assets backed by a counterpart as a bridge that there might be demand for. But ultimately, I think that will produce an island of liquidity that will still require a universal asset, because the world certainly won't agree on a counterparty if they don't have to. Meaning, if you can't show us the gold, how are we going to trust you? All these governments that are now trying to go to gold back, right? But nobody wants to use the CBDC because they can't redeem the CBDC for gold. They can't prove that the gold is there. And this is where that universal bridge asset comes in, where you can remove the trust, where it's like, hey, you use that currency, you use that asset, you put that commodity on chain. That's great. When it's time to settle up, let's use XRP for the liquidity. And this AMM is going to help provide some of the best liquidity in the world on the XRPL. I firmly believe that. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up this session, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by here. We'll continue to watch these markets. In the meantime, if you're looking to learn a little bit about business and you want to get tapped in with our community, I just dropped the most recent installment of our business development program over for the Discord group. So you sign up for Patreon to get access to Discord. And we just launched the most recent business development program, Investing in Marketing. So please go check that out. And all of our community resources can be found at my website, zachrector.com. Everyone have a fantastic day. We'll see you in the next one. God bless you all. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.